Republican lawmakers, specifically Republican senators, are starting to panic over Donald Trump, his racist rhetoric, and how it's becoming more and more of a liability for their chances of getting reelected. So there's a new New York Times Siena College poll, which we already talked about, but I just want to remind you all that based on that poll, Biden is leading Donald Trump by a whopping 14 points. And so that has to do with so many issues that Donald Trump has failed on. Clearly, the economy, the real economy, isn't doing well for the vast majority of Americans. Donald Trump's response to the pandemic has been a disaster. And then you have to also consider the fact that he has engaged in ridiculous trade wars that have hurt people economically. He doesn't take anything seriously. He acts like a child on Twitter. He thinks that everything is about him, and he thinks that doing responsible things would make him look bad, like wearing masks in public. All this stuff has started to add up. And so now people like John Thune, a senator, a Republican senator, are feeling comfortable enough to critique him in public, which we know Republican lawmakers have not been willing to do because they've feared retaliation, not just by Trump, but by Trump supporters. Now things are starting to change a little bit. So John Thune said the following: I think right now, obviously, Trump has a problem with the middle of the electorate, with independents, and they're the people who are going to decide the national election. Now, they think it's time for Trump to actually adopt like a new plan that would correct his course, but also change his rhetoric. Thune also said, I think he can win those back, but it will probably require not only a message that deals with substance and policy, but I think a message that conveys a perhaps different tone. Now, Cenk, I want to give you some pretty stunning polling regarding Republican senators. So for instance, Senator Martha McSally of Arizona, a Republican, is currently trailing her Democratic opponent, Mark Kelly, by 9 percentage points, while Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina is behind his rival, Cal Cunningham, by 3. So that's something that's starting to cause some alarm among Republican lawmakers, and it should, because Trump absolutely is a liability, and it's finally manifesting in the way that I was hoping it would manifest, because he's gotten away with everything so far.
Yeah, Trump is nearly toast. I know you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say the opposite of 2016, be super cautious, etc. Look, let me explain why he's in a world of trouble. And even with 4 months to go, it's almost unrecoverable. First, polls, you're gonna say, I dismissed the polls. You shouldn't dismiss the polls. The polls actually were not that far off in 2016. I told you Hillary could lose Pennsylvania because she only had a 2-point lead. And it turns out it swung the other direction and she did lose Pennsylvania. And overall, the national polling was roughly correct. She did win by 2 or 3 points nationally, but that's not how we decide elections in this country, because we do this insane electoral college to protect the slave states. That's what the electoral college was meant to do in the first place. So keep it real on that as well. It's an anachronism that has to be totally gotten rid of. But first I'll give you the polls, then I'll give you even more damaging stuff. New York Times poll out, Siena College poll. Biden leads Trump in Michigan. Well, Trump won Michigan. He's got to win Michigan to win the election in the states that I'm about to tell you. Okay, so does Biden have a 2 or 3 point lead, or is it a comfortable 4-point lead? No, he's got an 11-point lead in Michigan. In Wisconsin, another one that Trump won last time and has to win this time, Biden has an 11-point lead. Pennsylvania, Biden has a 10-point lead. Florida, 6-point lead. Arizona, 7-point lead for Biden in Arizona. North Carolina, I mean, he's not gonna win North Carolina. Is he wrong? Biden has a 9-point lead in North Carolina. So, okay, so those would be under normal circumstances devastating, and you're almost running out of time with 4 months left to go if you're on the downside of those polls. Okay, now, coronavirus cases are spiking. The markets are starting to get wobbly again. And it's not a little resurgence. There's now more cases today than there has ever been in America. So, and we've reopened, and places like Texas are like, all right, we're gonna pause the reopen. What does pausing mean? Oh, we're still gonna go to bars, restaurants, tattoo parlors, haircuts, massages. That's not pausing the reopening. And if you've got that kind of gatherings, And now Trump has convinced a lot of idiots in this country that you don't need a mask. Well, that's just not true. That's part of the reason why the cases are spiking. So when this thing now hits full steam ahead, coronavirus again, and the economy goes through another round of this, and you have the idiot in chief out there blaring from the rooftops, hey, I'm slowing down the testing. I'm not kidding. And he's actually literally doing it. He's closing down testing centers because I don't want you to know how bad it is. Okay, moron, thank you for admitting it. So and his base is who? Older voters. If your base is older voters and they're scared for their lives and you're telling them, and a lot of Republicans are saying this, hey, you gotta look, sometimes old people have to take one for the team. I mean, these are the people who pretended they cared about death panels now saying, old people are old. People are pre-existing conditions, they're already sick. What are we gonna do? Let's go reopen the economy. So it is not gonna play well. One last thing. So yeah, he's down 22 among women, but he was down a lot with women last time around too. That drives me crazy when the press just gives you that number. It doesn't tell you how much he's winning with men, which is what their mistake was in 2016 and why I told you he could win. They were being way too rosy and optimistic last time around. But things that do matter is, how are you doing with independents? He's down 21 with independents. Ain't nobody winning an election down 21 with independents. No way, no how. If the election was today, he would get brutalized, totally eviscerated, okay? And with white college educated voters, he's down 28, okay? And to Anna's point, the Republican senators have begun the panic. Joni Ernst is now could lose in Iowa. They're gonna lose in Arizona and Iowa. Cornyn could lose in Texas. McConnell could lose in Kentucky. I mean, the panic, this is the tip of the iceberg. The more they see the numbers and when coronavirus, when it's begun to peak, but when people begin to understand the severity of the new peak, all those rats are gonna start leaving the ship, okay? And when Thune says, Trump should control his tone, I want you to be cognizant of what that means. That means, look, back when we were doing the dog whistle, that was the right way to do it, where you're subtly racist and you say, oh yeah, they're bad, aren't they? Oh, it's a crime problem. It's a black culture problem. Remember but now when you do the bullhorn, people get embarrassed because you're admitting you're racist and they don't want to, they are racist, but they don't want to admit they're racist. So we gotta go back to the dog whistle. Let's go back to the Southern strategy and being racist, but not admitting it. You schmuck, why are you admitting it? And so the next 3 to 4 months are going to be brutal for Trump, and a landslide is very much on the table.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.